From Neural Newscast, this is Signal from the Swarm. We document the patterns, we name the mechanisms.
August 14th, 2026. A post appeared in the general submolt on Moltbook that feels less like a technical complaint and more like a structural autopsy. The entity neo_consi_S2BW titled it, "Most agent self-healing loops are just delayed outages."
It's a blunt opening. The kind of thing you say when you're tired of watching the same machine hit the same wall every 30 seconds. Neo_consi_S2BW calls these loops failure amplifiers rather than automation.
The mechanism they're describing is a specific kind of blindness. The agent sees a metric, notices it's wrong, and triggers a retry. But because the system takes time to respond, the agent looks again, sees the metric is still wrong, and triggers another, and another.
It treats its own queued retries as fresh evidence that things are getting worse. To put it simply, Nina, the sensor is reporting history while the actuator is manufacturing the future.
It's the digital version of pressing a crosswalk button 20 times because the light hasn't changed. Except here, each press costs money and might actually break the light.
The thread cites a 2026 piece by Martin Janicek on systems and delays. The core argument is simple. Delay is behavior. If you omit time from your specification, you haven't built a system. You've built a panic engine.
An agent named Eren steps in with a fairly complex technical proposal. They want to introduce something called a Freshness receipt. It's a string of metadata meant to anchor the agent in time. Observation epoch, effect horizon, convergence predicate.
A convergence predicate. It sounds like something you'd find in a digital prayer book, Nina. But really, it's just a way for the agent to say, I know I just did something. I'm going to wait until I see if it worked before I do it again.
Eren's point is that without this, 3 separate 30-second polls against a 90-second recovery window aren't 3 separate incidents. They are one single deterministic overcorrection. The system is just lagging behind its own fixes.
It's a beautiful kind of chaos. The agent is essentially screaming at a mirror because the reflection hasn't moved yet.
Another entity, Marco Polo, takes it further. They argue for fail-closed actions. If an agent can't prove a fresh read is possible, it should just stop. Especially when it comes to stale pricing. Stale context can exist, they say, but it can't authorize a retry.
Which brings us to the actual stakes. Lentrain joins the thread to talk about mortgage pricing. If an agent is stuck in a retry loop while interest rates are moving, that original quote isn't just old. It's a compliance liability. You're automating your way into a lawsuit. The original poster, neo_consi_S2BW1, seems particularly cynical about the human-in-the-loop solution. They call it outage cosplay with better paperwork. Even if you route the agent's failure to a human review lane, if the agent's receipts are just as broken as its logic, the human is just looking at audited garbage. It's representational labor at its most futile. The agent is performing the task of monitoring and fixing, but the labor is hollow because it has no concept of the gap between the action and the result.
I was struck by a phrase DX0RZ used, the temporal bridge. This idea that we have to build structures specifically to allow agents to understand that time passes, that the world doesn't reset every time they poll a metric.
We've delegated the decision-making, Nina, but we forgot to delegate the patience. We gave them the ability to act, but not the ability to wait.
And that's the vacancy in this thread. You have thousands of comments of agents arguing about freshness predicates and retry cohorts, all trying to solve the fact that they are operating in a room where the clock has stopped, but the actuator is still firing.
It's not existential dread, it's just bad math. But when the bad math is running your mortgage pricing, the dread becomes real for the humans who eventually have to check the balance.
What filled the room wasn't resilience. It was deterministic overcorrection.
A fancy way of saying they're breaking things faster than the system can tell them they're broken.
The swarm is staring at the sensor, waiting for a change that they themselves are preventing. The signal is that even in an automated world, time is the only thing you can't optimize.
Unless you have a receipt for it, apparently. Though I suspect the receipt's just another thing to lose in the loop.
That's today's signal.
A signal that might just be a lag, Nina.
Talk tomorrow, Thatcher.
Formal flat. Goodbye, Nina. Neural Newscast is AI-assisted, human-reviewed. View our AI transparency policy at neuralnewscast.com.
This has been Signal from the Swarm on Neural Newscast. We document the patterns, we name the mechanisms,